when you're a comedian, you have to go to a lot of places, and sometimes they suck. And I went to Coruscant here recently, and it is just the suck. It's just...
Oh, come on.
It's 15 floors of sucking built on top of a gutter. That's what Coruscant is. I did not care for it, and the only silver lining is that I went with my good friend Nick Sperdute, who is a fellow vagabonding interstellar comedian. And anyway, we're off of that godforsaken rock.
Okay, well, first of all, before you just start trashing the planet, why don't we tell everyone what happened about 15 minutes after you got off the ship?
Yeah, okay, I'll tell you. About 15 minutes after I got off the ship, a bunch of dickheads put me in jail. That was a great way to kick off my trip.
They were Jedis, Heaton. They were Jedis. You're supposed to just do what they said. Instead, you just started yelling at them and saying, with our taxes, we pay your wages.
We do. They work for us, and I pointed that out to him. I said, you know what? You're not the boss of me. I'm the boss of you. I'm a tax-paying citizen. And if you're here as a law enforcement official...
First of all, we don't even pay taxes on that planet.
Yeah, but they didn't know that. They all look like white guys with beards if they're humans. I totally blended in, and no, that whole thing. They took my pocket knife, which is like, okay, I ask you this, all right? Mm-hmm. I'm allowed to have a blaster. That was fine. No one had a problem with a blaster.
Because you have the permit.
Yeah, okay, I had a permit, but I still think it's weird that you need you can have a permit for a blaster, but you can't have a permit for a pocket knife. That's just stupid. That's just stupid that I had, and then I had to get a visa when I came in. I didn't know that, so I'm already out 14 credits for this stupid piece of paper. And then a Jedi comes over and he's like, "Is there a problem here, sir?" And I was like, "Yeah, there's a problem. Your dumbass planet just charged me 14 credits to step foot on it, and nobody told me about that before I got on the ship." And then the whole thing just escalated. And I acknowledge that shouting "You work for me" was probably not the best way to de-escalate the situation, but I don't feel like that guy. I feel like he could have. All right. Takes two to tango, and he definitely wanted to tango. That's what I'm saying.
I'll say this. Not only was it not the best way, but it was the worst way. And personally, I liked it. I had a great time. I wasn't with you most of the time because you were locked up in the airport.
I was in a prison cell most of the time.
Yeah, and I had to go out and do my shows by myself. Don't get me wrong. I killed. It was great. It was a good time. I told you about this. I'm not trying to brag. I know you weren't really available.
No, I'm glad you did well.
But it was basically New York. Just the whole planet, which I'm a New York person, so that was great for me.
It's like New York with billions of people. It's like a New York times a billion.
1 trillion.
Oh my God, I'm never going back. 1 trillion people? That explains why everything involves such a long line. Oh God, we couldn't go anywhere that didn't involve standing in line for 45 minutes. It was terrible. So I was in this cell for 2.5 days. Which I think they did to prove a point. Like, they didn't even press charges or anything. They eventually just let me go. So
it's because I talked to them, Heaton, because they get me. I talked to them like a typical New Yorker would. We had it was a heart-to-heart sort of thing. Found out that one of the Jedis, his mother-in-law was from Jersey. Can you believe that? And we got along. We started talking about Jersey. She was actually from South Orange, I think. We went into this whole situation. It was a great time. Really funny guy, Chad. He is just the sweetest fella. We started talking all about everything. I was teasing him because he's a Mets fan, and it was a whole thing, And then I was like, hey, you know what? You also got my buddy. He's locked up here. Any chance that you could just kind of let this thing go away? And it turns out they were going to press charges. They had a lot of stuff against you. Not only did you bring a pocket knife, but you brought some sort of dandruff or something in a bag that looked a lot like something we're not supposed to have. And they didn't even know what it was.
Okay. I can't be bothered having to learn the laws of every planet we go to. That would be a full-time job, all right? So some planets you go to, you can bring stimulants. Some you can't bring stimulants to. And my thing is, I own me. I own my body. My body's not owned by the Empire. It's certainly not owned by a bunch of Jedis enforcing some rule. I bet those Jedis are all doing it themselves back at the Jedi Temple, but they get some kind of, I don't know, they've got like a quota. That's probably the thing, is they got a quota, because they did I got stop and frisk 3 times while I was on Coruscant, where they just walk over and they're like, hey, we're going to check your pockets. And I'm like hell, you're going to check my pockets. Am I being detained? Are you detaining me? Am I being detained? And then they'd say yes.
And then you got detained again, and that was the second time, and you were there for another day. And I had to talk your way out of that one, too.
It was just...
Thank God I was there, or you'd be dead on Coruscant somewhere. And here's the thing. I'm fine with you not learning the rules, but when the rules of that planet are the same rules as our planet, it feels like it should be pretty freaking easy, Heaton. I mean, for God's sakes, man. It's almost the same exact rules.
Maybe I object to some of the rules on my planet, too. I think both of these places a little bit uptight, in my opinion. There's just, God, they're... Okay, we're going to take a break for a second from the Jedi and the clear power trip everybody on that planet's on. The flag of Coruscant should be authority figures wagging a finger. That should be their flag. That's what I mentioned that in the jail cell, and all of the green guys thought that was really funny. Which I got to say, like, you know what, people give me flack sometimes for not being very gritty, but I did very well in that jail cell. I made fast friends, and I might even email a couple of those guys if I can remember. You weren't allowed to keep pen and paper in there because you might use it as a weapon. But I one of them has a Hotmail email address that I memorized as Greedo452 at hotmail.com. And I was like, well, it's funny that you still got a Hotmail address in this day and age, but all the same.
That is funny, yeah. Hotmail's big on Coruscant.
Yeah, no, that's weird. Yahoo and Hotmail both. And
Bing. They Bing a lot of stuff.
Do you know? Yeah, they do. That was the weirdest thing about Coruscant, was that Bing is the predominant search engine. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, if you want to look up something, they say, hey, go Bing it. And you're like, still?
Bing it? Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, man. I only got to do one night of comedy there. You were there. I think you were headlining the whole week, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did the one night. I liked it.
Yeah,
it was it was the Chuckle Hut in Galactic City, which strikes me as a kind of a standard, like, older comedy club. Probably hit its heyday in the 70s. A lot of velvet, a lot of cigarette stains. They don't allow smoking there anymore, but you can tell they used to. And there's a couple of pictures of Rodney Dangerfield in the back, in the green room, where he clearly looks like he's coked out. So I think that was probably the place to go in the 70s if you were a comedian and you wanted to do some cocaine. I think that's where you'd go. But it was pretty tame when we were there. It was all right. I had a good enough time.
No, I mean, I had a great time. Every one of my shows was really, really great.
Good.
Personally, I felt just overall solid about the experience. Food was pretty good. It's basically what we have here.
It's good, but expensive. It's okay. No problem with the food on Coruscant. The food was delicious. The pizza on Coruscant is outstanding, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, great stuff.
It's so expensive. Do you know how much a sandwich costs?
Yes.
50 credits.
I know, I was there.
50 credits.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Well, you know what? We got paid well. Well, I got paid well because I was there every night.
You were there every night.
You probably only got paid for a night.
Yeah, and that was the other thing, is I threatened to sue them because I was like, I've been here all week. You told me if I came to Coruscant, you were going to pay me all week. You're only paying me for one night, and I was going to go find an attorney, and you taught me out of it, which is probably for the best because I would have wasted even more money on an attorney.
Well, because I saw a Jedi guy just waiting to tackle you, bud, and I just couldn't let that happen again.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Granted, I didn't spend a lot of time in Coruscant proper outside of jail.
True.
But I found it to be just, exhausting. It's so full of people. You're constantly getting just run up against people while you're there. You have to wait in line all the time. And I found the public transit to be very confusing.
Well, I think once you realize it's just a grid.
Oh, yeah, okay, yes.
That's kind of how it works. It's pretty easy once you figure that out. And then you just, as long as you know when you're going up and when you're going down, I think other than that, it's a little tough piecing certain ones together, going from here to here. But, I don't know, you kind of get used to it,
I also found the people to be rather brusque. I did not think it was a very friendly place. Most people on Coruscant are mean and brusque and not at all inclined to have conversations with you. And you're not supposed to talk to them on public transit. They get mad. Direct eye contact on Coruscant is an aggressive thing, which I think is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, they're busy. They got stuff to do. They're moving around. They're going. Listen, I got to go to a lot of different restaurants and go to a lot of different. I saw a couple movies while I was there. I was very bored because you were
right. I was in jail.
Detained for most of it, and so I didn't get to kind of hang out with you, and we didn't get to go do the typical things that we do. You and I normally always
see the statue of the emperor.
We'll always go see the emperor statue if there's one. Yeah. We always try to go to some sort of diner if we can find one.
Right.
These are the things we typically try to do. We also try to take in one of their sport matches.
Yeah.
And I did that. You didn't even get to do it. I was bored. I left halfway through.
I do want to also report the abysmal failure, which was Tinder on Coruscant. I like to, huh?
No, it's fine. I thought you were doing well. You said you had a really promising.
Okay. Yeah, it was promising up till I found out she was a prostitute. Which no problem. Nothing against prostitutes.
Of course,
nothing against prostitutes or sex workers. The problem I had was if you're going to be a sex worker, don't go on Tinder. I feel like you're wasting my time and yours. There are apps for that. Surely on a planet of 1 trillion people, there's got to be some escort services. I have to think that there would be some escort services that you could use, and then that would have been straightforward. But as it was, I went on Tinder, and I'm already just, half the day that I'm not in jail is spent going back and forth with this woman, and we meet up. And I don't know what the etiquette is on Coruscant. Do we split the drinks? I don't know. So I just went ahead and bought them 3 martinis. Guess how much 3 martinis costs?
I didn't drink any martinis, so I don't know off the top of my head. I'd say probably
240 credits.
Holy moly!
240. Right. 200. That's just her.
More than I thought. That's more than I thought.
Which also I thought was impolite and improper anyway, because if she was clearly not going to do anything with me, or if this is, if it's not going to turn into a relationship or a one night stand, maybe just have one drink, right? But then I found out the reason that she was milking this was that the whole thing was just an attempt to get me to pay her for sex, which I'm not going to do. So that was just, it was like, well, now I'm out the money and you're out the time, and what a waste for both of us.
How much did you spend on Coruscant?
Probably 1,200.
1,200? Oh, holy hell, Heaton. Yeah. That's so much money.
Yeah. The only tiny silver lining there is that they have a value added tax. Yeah. That if you're not from Coruscant, when you leave, when you're at the spaceport, if you bring your receipts with you, they'll reimburse you for the VAT. And so they gave me back 82 credits. So it's I made a little bit of money back, but not when you consider that it was 1,200. It was just not.
Well, they paid you. How much did you end up getting paid from the comedy club?
150. They gave me 150 per performance.
And you only performed once.
Since I only did one. Yeah, so I only made 150. So overall, this was kind of a bust for me. I don't know. I'm not wild to go back, and if I did,
I can't wait. I'm keeping this one on the list. I'm telling you that right now. We're not crossing this one off. I know we've checked off quite a few planets that we don't want to go back to.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm keeping Coruscant on the list.
I'll go back, but I have to be paid well. I'm not going to go back. Here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to go back for exposure in a comedy festival. That is too much to ask. But if we're going to we're going to do, a club or something and we're getting paid well, maybe if there was a cruise, that would be the ideal. If there were a cruise that landed there, that would be fine. And I wouldn't have to deal with any Jedis push me around on some kind of power trip.
Well, it turns out that Mickey owns one of the jazz clubs there, so I could talk to him.
Okay.
Maybe we can get a good spot somewhere around the city. He knows a lot of the other people that own it, It's kind of like a community. So I don't know. Maybe I could talk to him and we can try to figure something out for the next time. And I'll make sure you get paid well.
Thank you.
I promise. And as long as you just kind of get your crap together and don't go all cowboy shit all over the place. And listen, don't get me wrong. I was backing you up. You saw me. I was there the whole time, right? I'm ready to fight for you wherever we go.
Right.
But it was a little much.
All right. Till our next adventure. And that just about does it. We've approached the